Comprehensible input. Everyone's talking about this. Every time I go on YouTube, I find more videos that have been recommended to me for some reason of random people. The amazing way I discovered to learn languages, and it's always the same thing. Them with their mouth open, face, and then it's a talk on comprehensible input and how it's the best thing since sliced bread. And the reality of it is, for some reason, it just became popular. And I think I know what that reason is, but let me know in the comments. Why do you think it's so popular? And if you think it's all that effective? I know it's not, in a way. It'd be unfair to say that's completely useless. Obviously not. But the thing with comprehensible input is that they have turned it into something that it's really not. Comprehensible input is a good way to keep slowly improving the language that you have already learned, to review the vocabulary that you've already learned, and to learn grammar in context as well. It's not a good way to learn a lot of vocabulary fast. Whenever I say comprehensible input is not an effective and efficient way to learn a language, there'll be a bunch of people in the comments telling me that I didn't do it the right way, that in order for comprehensible input to work, it needs to be comprehensible. So you need to already know the words that you are getting your input with, which it kind of defeats the purpose, because how are you learning words with a learning method that requires you to already know the words? You know what I mean? So it's good to review. It's not great to learn new words. It's good for grammar. Grammar, you learn it in context. Words, you learn them in context if you see them a lot and you already know a lot of the other words. If you know 8 or 9 words out of 10, the last word, if it keeps showing up and you keep seeing it in context over and over again, you'll just understand that word in context and eventually you remember it. But the problem is that for the most part, after the most common words, those words that you see all the time, most less frequent words, or non-frequent words actually, they're non-frequent. It's in the name. So for you to learn them in context, you need insane amounts of input, which means that it's not an efficient way to learn because you could learn those words much faster by memorizing them. That's the problem with comprehensible input. Again, I've got nothing against reading. Reading is great. I read a lot. I've read a lot of books, but it's simply not the most effective and efficient, time efficient way to learn languages. Also, listening, which is much better than reading because you're working on your listening comprehension and your pronunciation while you're not doing any of that by reading. Listening is way better and it's great and you should do it, but by itself is not going to be enough. You need to combine it with everything else, right? So comprehensible input is good, do it, especially listening. And if you really like reading, then read as well. But it should always be combined with memorization of vocabulary and retrieval practice, right? And other speaking exercises. That's my opinion on comprehensible input. And I said earlier that for some reason, I know why it's become really popular because it offers you an effortless, lazy way to learn a language. That's the attractive part. That's why so many people like it. They like the idea of acquiring a valuable skill with no effort. People are lazy, people are dumb. That's why comprehensible input is so popular, because they want to get something in exchange for nothing. And the reality of it is, nothing that's valuable in this life, nothing that's valuable is easy. So if you want to get really good at speaking a language, you can't do it just with comprehensible input. If you just read and watch videos and listen to the language over and over again, casually, just enjoying content, good for you. You'll be able to watch shows on Netflix and eventually understand them, and eventually speak some broken language at some point as well. Will you be able to speak the language you're learning the way I'm speaking English now, just with comprehensible input? Hell no. You need deliberate practice. Speaking is a skill and you need to work on the skill with deliberate practice and feedback. All right. So it's good that you do it. It's much better than doing nothing or than doing Duolingo or something like that. But it's not going to be enough. All right. So stop being lazy. Stop looking for cheat codes and the effortlessly learning the lazy way and all that nonsense. Start doing the hard work, learning deliberately with deliberate practice. If you look at anyone who achieved anything meaningful, important, anyone who's successful, anyone who is at the top of the game in any field, in sports, in business, any kind of whatever, the best scientists, the best athletes, the best, you name it. There's a lot of deliberate practice behind that, right? So stop being lazy and start working hard and achieving things.